Nailed, a murder mystery in 10 acts. It was summer, yet her body was stiff and cold. A few solemn police guards stood at the crime scene. The victim deposited face down on a marble floor, struck dead from behind. This is how a man snuffs out a woman, Lisette thought. The prey was Glenda Cannon, a billionaire's 25-year-old daughter. Her wet hair was still tousled. Rigor mortis, the third stage of death, stiffened the body. She wore a short bathrobe and not much else. Fresh from the bath, not a very glamorous way to die for someone so snobbish, thought Lisette. Lisette Zeller squeezed the mean thoughts out of her mind. A good investigator was analytical, not a social commenter, she recited in her head. Lisette was in the customary dress for detectives on the force. Her camel hair blazer contrasted her navy blue pleated skirt, almost a schoolgirl's uniform, except for the black stiletto high heels. Too high for comfort. Lisette's black spike heels were an unmistakable hunger for male attention. In her late 20s, her shape was graceful and attractive. A looker who couldn't find Mr. Right. "Earl, come here. Take a note of this," Lisette said. Earl Gressy was Lisette's superior and her investigative partner. She didn't enjoy male bosses, but Earl was more open-minded than many. A stuffy, middle-aged bachelor, he appeared clumsy compared to Lisette's light shape. They both wore the same status of clothing, except Earl wore blue slacks and black penny loafers. Lisette hated it when his apparel colours matched hers. Was it a deliberate attempt to embarrass her? The truth? They both had small wardrobes. "What you find?" Earl asked. He pushed his large glasses up with one finger. "Look, the victim's only got nail polish on one hand," Lisette replied. Earl squinted. "So, where's the nail polish?" Lisette questioned. "Good point, Zeller. Let's look around for the bottle of a greenish... It's green, isn't it?" "Sort of iridescent color, I'd say, but tinted green." "Okay, green it is." Lisette knelt by the bed and lifted the dust ruffle. Peering under, she came to a quick conclusion. Glenda had a maid. The floor was spotless, not a single dust bunny. "Nothing under here," Lisette said. "I'll check the balcony." When she stood up, it was clear the men in the room were all staring. She chuckled. She relished this startling power she felt, as always. The men shifted their gaze, sheepish. Earl frowned and shook his head. Elegant Lisette clacked across the hardwood floor, knowing the boys gawked. She stepped outside. She eased off her suggestive performance by slipping off her shoes. I should be so lucky having a balcony, she thought. There I go again, more class envy. The balcony was grey cement railing with a black and white marble floor. Plants garnished the ends. Fake plants, she noted. There was no green fingernail polish bottle on the balcony, but there was polish remover. It lay tipped over on a round iron cast table. Yet, no nail polish. "Earl, do you have your field glasses with you?" the barefoot Lisette shouted. "You know I always do, Zeller." "Well, be a dear. Loan them to me for a moment, please," Lisette said in her most honeyed voice. "Please don't use your female manipulation on me. It makes me ill," Earl said. Scowling, he tossed the battered glasses to her from the balcony door. She caught them and feigned slipping them over the edge. "Hey, careful, we're on the top floor!" Earl was always nervous about loaning his things. Lisette enjoyed playing on his paranoia. She pushed back her dark shoulder-length hair from her face. Peering through the field glasses, she scanned the courtyard far below. Something gleamed in the grass. "Earl, I need your help." He popped his head out from behind the sliding glass door. He had a quizzical, astonished look. "I suppose you want me to fling myself down and retrieve my demolished field glasses." "Nothing of the sort. I need you to go down the elevator, then retrieve whatever is glinting in the grass there. Do you see it?" She pointed down. He stepped over, took the glasses, and peered down. "All right, there is a reflection. You keep looking for more clues." "Of course," Lisette said. I'll be looking for a brick to throw when you're on the lawn." He glared at her and left. Lizette went back into the apartment and reclined on the couch. She felt tired. Her perfect 5'6" frame fit on the soft leather couch. She ignored the ugly corpse on the floor and a few silent guards. After a while, Earl returned from the courtyard. He was out of breath and perspiring. He stopped walking the instant he saw Lizette. His mouth dropped open in disbelief. Lizette was asleep on the leather couch. Earl paled. "Zeller, wake up!" Earl shouted. "The elevator's out of order. I've been hustling my fanny off for you, and you're sleeping." Lizette yawned and stretched. She'd known the elevator was on the blink. "This is a great couch," Lizette said, sitting up. "Would you like to try it?" "I can't believe you. I'll report you one of these days for your insubordination." Such a frightening word, Earl. Does it mean you want me to submit to you? She said in a throaty voice. Lizette tilted her head back, shook her dark red mane, and smiled. Earl blushed at his visible excitement. "Please, stop. Don't allude to such notions, Zeller. Forget I said anything at all." Slow and without a word, Lizette stood up, too close for Earl's comfort. Earl floundered, gulping air. His breath rhythm was off. "Don't you dare." He glanced around to see no one was observing. Earl hiccuped. Lizette grinned. Earl's hiccuping was more applause verifying Lizette's charms. Such a risky game she played with poor Earl's nervous system. The coroner was preparing the body for removal. A dull thump sounded when he moved the corpse to the black body bag. Earl and Lizette both cringed. "What did you find in the garden? The nail polish?" Lizette said. "No, this." Earl held out his hand. He clutched a plastic sample bag containing a large silver ladle. A tag dangled from it marked, "Evidence." "Fantastic. Did it fall from the balcony?" "Because of the distance, better said tossed. The deceased name's engraved on the handle." The large knob at the end was bloody. "The murder weapon," Earl said proudly and nodded at Lizette. "Good work, Zeller." "Still, where's the nail polish?" Lizette asked, ignoring his compliment with calculation. "Who cares about the nail polish? We've got the murder weapon. This thing has fingerprints all over it." Earl's hiccups disappeared with his growing irritation. "But no suspect and no motive?" Lizette raised an eyebrow and produced a coy smile. "You're so arrogant sometimes," Earl said. She said nothing, but turned and sashayed out of the apartment. She jogged to exit ahead of the men removing the cocoon body bag. Earl shook his head. He'd let her take off this time, again. They both knew was nothing more to do until after the coroner's report. Still, her smugness ate at him. Lizette was so beautiful, but such a prankster.
Day 1. Nailed Scene 2. Homicide Division, nighttime.
It was late night. The office was silent and empty. Lizette stared at the coroner's report. She rocked her chair back, dangling her shapely legs. She stretched and flexed, exercising her sore calves. Cursed heels, she thought. A low cough sounded at her side. She dropped the report and grabbed the hidden pistol from under her desk and spun the chair around. Her gun barrel pointed at a man she didn't recognize. "Not so fast," he said with both hands in the air. "I only cleared my throat to let you know I've been waiting." "Who let you in?" She took note of his motorcycle boots, faded blue jeans, long white hair, and a black leather jacket. He looked like a mugger's twin. Lizette put him near death. Suspicious fellow. "I'm from downtown. Here. My badge and ID." He reached into his bulging coat pocket. Lizette cocked the gun hammer. She stopped, motionless. Slow and cautious, he pulled out a leather wallet and flicked it across the floor to her bare toes. She left the wallet on the floor and flipped it open with her foot. "You're Agent Eli Temple. Have we met before? Lots of women ask me that. Can you put down the .45 Magnum?" She kicked the wallet back to him. Lizette released the trigger slow and eased the hammer back to its metal home with a soft tap. He knows his weapons, she thought. "Is sneaking up on a woman when they're alone your routine?" Lizette asked. He stopped to pick up his ID. "Not armed ones. You caught me off guard," he said. He had been there a while, giving her the once-over. More than once. Lizette sneered. Slime. She didn't like him. "So, Temple, what brings you here, besides sightseeing?" Lizette asked. He fumbled a smile. "I'm replacing your partner Earl for a few days on the murder case." "Aren't you a little too old to play cops and robbers?" "I've not retired yet. Experienced men are the best, they say." Lizette smirked. She hated seducers, all brag. "So which murder case are you interested in?" Lizette prompted. "The Glenda Cadden murder case. Ring any bells?" Lizette scowled. This guy's a jerk. I gotta get rid of him, she thought. "On whose authority were you assigned to my case?" Lizette asked. "By the chief. I've my orders from the top. You can be reassigned if you like," Eli said. "Not a chance, Temple." "Good. Let's work together." Eli, uninvited, pulled up a chair. Lizette, sulking, dropped her gun with a resounding thud on the desktop, a not-so-subtle reminder of whose turf Eli was invading. "You've got the coroner's report?" Eli said. "Sure. Here, help yourself," Lizette retorted. She tossed the report into his lap. Eli stared at her for a moment and picked up the report. After perusing the summary, Eli spoke. "Was she married or living with a man?" "No," she replied. "An immaculate conception, I suppose." "So it appears. The report said the victim was 3 months pregnant. A double murder. A motive, perhaps?" Lizette thought. "Why did they send you?" "Excuse me?" Eli said, peering over the top of the papers. "Temple, why send you?" Lizette repeated loudly, mouthing her words as if talking to a deaf man. "It's a hot case." "So? I've supervised hot cases before, unassisted." "Words out. You're impulsive, Zeller. An unimaginable feminist vigilante. Get the picture?" Eli said. "So they've sent you to babysit because the case is too high society and blue blood." "You are smart. There's big money behind this murder. You know that. You'll make lots of unpleasant waves for some big players unless we're diplomatic." "Diplomatic? Okay, fine, I'll be diplomatic. You'll see," Lizette said. Inside, she was fuming. She should have shot Eli when she had the chance. Eli tossed the report on the desk and left. When he reached the door, he turned and said, "See you tomorrow, Diplomat Zeller." The door clacked shut behind him and resonated into the emptiness. Lizette winced. "Jerk!" she blustered. She dreaded tomorrow already. She picked up the phone and punched some buttons. "Hello, Earl. I've got to see you right away. Yeah, your place is fine. 15 minutes sounds good. Bye."
Day 2. Nailed Scene 3. Earl's Place, early morning.
Lizette knocked again, only louder, on the third-story door marked 308. She was growing restless. Finally, Earl cracked the door and looked out. "It's me, open up," said Lizette.
"Give me a minute, Zeller,"
Earl replied and closed the door. Lizette could hear Earl talking to an upset female. The door popped open and a young woman exited quickly. She was pretty. She sniffed at Lizette. Lizette stood, her mouth wide open in surprise, not knowing what to say. The thought of Earl entertaining ladies never occurred to her. "Did I interrupt something? Something personal?" Lizette asked.
"Of course you did. You sounded desperate on the phone, Zeller. We are partners, you know. Come on in."
"I'm sorry, I didn't even check the time before I called," Lizette said. She walked through the door in a daze.
"See, you're upset. It's 2 a.m.
"You're joking."
"No joke."
"Do you often have women at your apartment at 2 in the morning?"
"Seems that way tonight. You're number 2.
"Earl, there's a side to you I didn't realize existed. You don't even have hiccups."
"What do you mean?"
It was Lizette's turn to blush for once. "I've flirted, flaunted, and taunted you. I've been cruel."
"Yes, you're beautiful, but unfortunately cruel also."
Earl looked down at his bare feet. The floor was cold. "You think I'm cruel?" Lizette implored, forgetting she had pronounced herself cruel already.
"Yeah, you're very cruel, but you're not here for psychotherapy. You've come to ask me about Eli Temple, right?"
"How did you know?"
"Chief called me earlier tonight, asked how long since I've vacationed."
Lizette plopped herself onto the couch. It was old, worn, and still warm from its recent occupants. What was Temple doing at 2 a.m. in the station, she wondered. "Earl, I'm unsure what to do. I want to solve this case, but I hate this creep. Temple. What should I do?"
"Use your extraordinary secret weapon, your femininity. It's worked before. You got me to climb down and up all those flights of stairs today."
"Oh, Earl. I wasn't your motivation to do that." She sat thinking. "You're right. Being female gives an incontestable power over men," Lizette stated.
"Well, use what God blessed you with, and with to your best advantage."
Exploding glass shattered all over the carpet. At the same moment, the window drape bloomed out. Earl slumped over. Lizette scrambled to the door in time to see a tan Ford door speeding away, an unmarked patrol car. Earl curled in a ball on the floor, his breathing labored.
"I don't think I'm gonna make it this time,"
Earl said. "Oh, quit the dramatics, you'll be fine." The slug had punctured Earl's right lung. Lizette picked up the phone and pressed 911. Why would a cop try to kill my partner? Or were they gunning for a different target? Me.
Day 2. Nailed Scene 4. Speeding ambulance, morning 2 a.m.
"Where am I?"
Earl wondered out loud. "You're in the back of an ambulance rushing to county hospital," Lizette responded. She was bored already.
"What? How'd they let you come along? Don't they know you're cruel?"
"I told them I'm Mrs. Earl. Sorry, play along, okay?" Lizette explained.
"Liar. You should have gone into crime, not law enforcement."
Lizette brushed her dark red hair away from her face. Steadying a medical mirror, she dabbed pinkish lipstick on her rounded lips, then rolled them tight together. She turned to face Earl. "Earl, it was an unmarked patrol car outside your place." Earl stared at her stunned. His brow knotted.
"Why would anyone on the force want to kill me? Or was it you they wanted?"
"You'd better think long and hard on that one," Lizette said.
"That senseless cannon case,"
Earl said. "Yeah, a lot of suspicious things going on."
"You sure hit the nail on the head. So, what are you gonna do?"
Earl asked. "Make sure they don't finish you, for starters,"
I'm flattered,
Earl said. He sneered a weak smile. This surprised Lizette. At that moment, she felt some fondness for Earl. Second, I'm gonna interview the maid from the Cannon apartment.
Good idea, but Zeller, you're still thinking like a woman.
The ambulance jolted, hitting a pothole. Earl grimaced with pain. You deserve that, Lizette said. Her face was stern.
You're right. Do it your way. You usually do.
Why? Why would you do different, Mr. Man?
I'd verify Temple's credentials.
You mean you don't think he's a cop?
Now you're thinking like a man.
She punched his bandaged wound. Earl blacked out from the pain. Consequently, their conversation ended. I am cruel, Lizette muttered. But I'm only being honest.
Day 2. Nailed Scene 5. Lizette's apartment, noon.
She drug her weary bones to the bathroom. Lizette's bladder could explode any minute. She was up all night with Earl arranging guards for his room. The guards were people on the force who she trusted with Earl's life. Maybe not her own, but definitely Earl's. She flushed the toilet. Time to change the roll again. Bother. Oh, look, what a mess. Lizette frowned at her reflection in the mirror. She examined the circles under her eyes. She shook her mane. Bummer. Sleeping in my good clothes again, she thought. Smeared lipstick and mascara were in odd places. A long, warm shower's what I need, she muttered. She stripped and tossed her clothes out on the unmade bed, circling in the front mirror. She complimented her saccharine physique. She leaned over the sink, checking her eye corners for telltale signs of crow's feet. Lizette posed with her hair pulled up on top of her head. Alas, no genuine man to praise her beauty. She could only enjoy the luxury of private narcissism. Adjusting the shower temperature, Lizette stepped into the tub. She slid the frosted glass closed after her. It felt good to get clean. She enjoyed the invigoration of tiny water droplets pulsing against her. Even with spraying water reverberating off the hard shower walls, Lizette was startled. The front door snapped shut. Jimmied. She sucked in a quick breath. Leaving the water running, she stepped out, fast. Lizette lifted the cover of the toilet tank. Inside was a loaded pistol for emergencies. As she gripped the gun, Lizette felt a change over her wet skin. Someone was blocking the airthrow through the open bathroom door. She spun round, gun raised. Spinal chills spread goosebumps over her soapy body. Don't shoot. It was long-haired Eli Temple, weathered black jacket and all. Lizette cocked the pistol. Don't shoot. I can explain. Lizette fired. Eli dropped to the floor, wincing in pain. See? And you wanted diplomatic, Lizette shouted. She hadn't killed him, only nailed him through his left thigh. That one was for breaking and entering, she shouted. She cocked the weapon again. And this bullet is for being a peeping Tom. No! No! He yelled. Lizette kicked Eli's head against the hard tub. He lay unconscious. She kicked him again for good measure. I should have shot you last night, pervert. His body twitched, but the old boy stayed out stone cold. She put the pawn shop special back in the toilet tank, found a warm robe, and dialed 911 once again. What was he trying to find in my apartment? She wondered. The nail polish? Lizette thumbed a glamour magazine as she gave her address and other details. They permitted Lizette finally to say, A stranger broke into my apartment. He's wounded and needs medical attention. Send an ambulance, please. While waiting for the ambulance, Lizette emptied all Eli's pockets. Eli Temple remained senseless.
Day 2. Nailed Scene 6. Homicide Division, 4 p.m.
Lizette was at the door to welcome Anita Maria Rodriguez del Aguila. Anita wasn't what Lizette expected in a maid. Anita was tall, fit, and stately. She was the kind of woman Lisette immediately disliked. Anita was beautiful. Her brown skin and brown eyes with long black eyelashes made Lisette stare. Were they all real? She wondered if the rest of her equipment was real too. Anita wore a flowing pastel summer dress. "Hello, Anita, thank you for coming down. I know these are difficult times for you," Lisette uttered with an icy voice. "Yes, who knows what will become of me," Anita said. "Give me a break," Lisette thought. This girl's got whimpering down to a science. Anita stood in the front of the bright glass door. Lisette smiled. Anita had neglected to wear a slip under her now translucent dress. In front of bright light, the Empress's clothes were transparent. Such a wicked thought. "Come on back to the conference room. It's a little quieter and private," Lisette said. Lisette observed the maid's body language. Anita had been in a police station before. Lisette led Anita through the bullpen full of noisy male detectives. Some discreetly glanced out of the corner of their eye. But most heads spun. Anita was the focus of lecherous attention. "Let her be the star," smirked Lisette. Lisette stopped in front of the door-length glass window. The blazing sun was streaming in. "Could you wait right here?" Lisette asked. "Maybe you'd like something to drink?" "No, I'm fine," Anita said. "I'll be back in a minute. You'll be okay?" Lisette asked. "Sure, no problem. There's a nice view from here," Anita said. "Yes, I'm sure there is," Lisette laughed. Lisette dashed into security. "Hey, you guys, wake up. Record 5 minutes of video. Give me 1 minute on camera 5 and 4 minutes on camera 6. Don't screw up or I'll kill you."
What's the deal?
Asked one of the men. "She's a suspect. Don't ask questions. Give me a copy in 15 minutes in the conference room," Lisette commanded. Lisette went to the case files for a timed 3 minutes. "Sorry to keep you waiting," Lisette apologized upon returning. "Oh, the sun is so warm, don't you think?" Anita asked. Lisette noticed the fragrant perfume Anita was wearing. It was almost intoxicating. They both stood there soaking in the rays and watching the motion of traffic. "I'm sure many here enjoyed the sun this afternoon," Lisette responded. "Come on this way." Lisette sat at the conference table next to Anita. Lisette watched her for a moment. "So, what did you want to talk about?" Anita asked. She fidgeted with a paperclip on the table. "Did any men ever visit Glender?" "You want the name of the father of Glenda's unborn child?" Anita said. Lisette raised an eyebrow. "So, you knew about the pregnancy?" "Yes, Glenda confided in me." "Really? What was your relationship like with Glenda?" Anita paused her paperclip, fidgeting, and smiled. "Are you asking if I prefer women to men, detective?" "No, that's not what Lisette stammered. Anita smiled. Lisette choked. "Were you involved with Glenda?" Lisette asked. "Yes," Anita said. "But I'm not the father." She grinned. "She suckered me," thought Lisette. She smoldered and held it in. "Did she ever tell you who the father was?" "No, she was pretty secretive about that." One of the security boys appeared, delivering the video. Lisette nodded thanks when he set it quietly on the table. Anita stared at it, wondering if it contained something important. "Well, I'll ask again. Did any men ever visit Glenda?" Lisette asked. "Yes, her father visited her." "Do you think he's the father of her baby?" Anita's eyes widened. "That'll be unspeakable." "Gotcha," Lisette thought gleefully. "Stranger things happen," Lisette said with a straight face. "Did he ever stay the night?" "Sometimes." "You'd best give a complete description of Glenda's father." "You think he might not be her father?" Lisette weakly smiled and said, "One can hope." "Oh well, he's medium build. He has long white hair. I don't know his age, but he looks oldish, you know?" he always wear a belt-up black leather jacket. Anita recited. Wait, did you say leather jacket? Did you ever hear his name? Glenda called him by name? He always got mad about it. One last question before we look at the evidence on this police video, Lizette said. Did you ever have intimate relations with Eli Temple? Anita's mouth dropped open. How'd you know his name's Temple? I asked the questions. Could you respond to my last one? Lizette asked. I want to see my lawyer before I answer any more questions. Anita folded her arms across her first-rate torso. I've read this body language before end of the interview. I hit a nerve, thought Lizette. Anita, you've been very helpful. We'll save this video for court. By the way, this place could use a maid. Think about it. Here's my card. Call if you think of anything else, Lizette said. Anita got up and left in a hurry. She's a maid. Right. More like a gold digger, thought Lizette. Lizette picked up the video. I guess we'll watch this at the annual Christmas party, she thought. She inserted the video into a computer. The video appeared on the screen. There were the gawking men. The camera switched to what they were staring at. There was Anita in her transparent summer dress. Her silhouette, a beautiful, curvaceous body and smooth, slender limbs. The camera focused on a small .22 caliber firearm taped to the inside of one lovely thigh. Lizette's eyes opened wide. That hussy. Then appeared Lizette in an even more transparent straight white skirt. The camera lens moved in for a closer look. Her video image leaned towards the window. Lizette held up her hand over her mouth in disgust. Oh, save me. The close-up revealed brilliant sun lighting Lizette up like a spotlight. Lizette laughed at herself. Wait till Mr. Hiccup sees this. The camera panned across towards pretty Anita. Her fine hand and fingers filled the screen. Her long, green, metallic fingernails glittered in the sun. Lizette jumped up, knocking over her chair. The nail polish, Anita, you tramp, she exclaimed. She's got the stuff. Lizette removed the video. Damn, she thought, how could I miss those green nails while interviewing her? She distracted me by her mental jousting.
Day 3. Nailed Scene 7. Anita's house, 3 a.m.
Broken glass bits crunchy on the floor. Lizette yawned. Anita's modest house. Seems nice, Lizette thought. A crime photographer's flash swallowed the small bedroom. Lizette stepped over Anita's outstretched red hand. It had green polish on her neat, trimmed nails. Lizette wandered sleepily towards the bathroom. She always started an investigation in the bathroom. It revealed so many personal details about the victim. Stuff you couldn't find elsewhere. The emergency call came from a neighbor who heard gunshots. Shots most likely fired from Anita's .22. Lizette stepped in. She flicked on the blush fluorescent light in the bathroom jumble. Pill bottles, cosmetics, toiletries everywhere. And lots of fresh blood. Hey, Joey, Lizette yelled at the photographer. Get in here quick. Geez, whoever trashed this place was wounded pretty bad, Lizette thought. Joey poked his head through the doorway. Wow, gross, Joey exclaimed. It was his first commentary of the morning. He too woke from a deep slumber. Take a couple of photos, Joey, then let me check things out, Lizette said. Yeah, sure thing. Joey is a sicko, Lizette thought. He enjoys his nauseating job too much. That ought to do it. I've got to shoot a few more facial wounds close-ups on the mark, Joey said and vanished back into the bedroom. This mark had a name, Joey. It was Anita. Lizette scanned the room. She poked things around a bit with her traditional black stiletto high heels. She yawned. No green metallic nail polish. Lizette paused, staring at the white toilet tank. She slowly lifted the cover and peered inside. There was a 6-shooter taped in the tank. She shuddered and fumbled the heavy lid. It shattered on the floor. Joey came running. "What happened?" he panted. Lizette stood there, one hand spread on her throat as if voiceless. There's a gun in the toilet," Lizette croaked. Joey stared at her, confused. Fright tears spilled from her eyes. She never made it to the gun. It was pulled back into the bedroom. Lizette's fingertips were blue and numb from shock. Anita was a cop. Her circulation was tightening up involuntarily. The intense reaction strangled her breath. "Like me," she weakly whispered. Joey walked over as if approaching a bomb. He peered into the tank. Lizette's unexpected and odd behavior was spooking to him. "So, what's the big deal?" "A gun? We've seen guns before," he puzzled. "She was a cop," Lizette mumbled, dazed. "Who?" Joey asked. "Anita was a cop. That's why she had a gun taped on her thigh. That's why she was at home in a police department," Lizette roared. "She played out her part to her dying end. Anita thought I was a suspect." "What are you freaking out about?" Joey asked. "You know this ice chick?" "I met her today, Joey. She worked undercover as a maid." "You're kidding. This gal? She was a knockout. Who'd believe her as an ordinary maid?" "I don't know. Maybe it was a setup." "By who?" Joey asked. "I don't know. But whoever did this is looking for the same thing I am." Joey looked at her with a furrowed brow. "You need sleep, Zeller," Joey said. "What do you mean the same thing?" "Anita wore metallic green fingernail polish today. I can't find the bottle," Lizette stated. Joey's eyes widened. "Why didn't you say so? There's a bottle in the Vic's purse in the kitchen." "You went through her bag without telling me?" Lizette fumed. Joey squeezed his lips together and shrugged one shoulder. "Okay, I lifted $20. I'll put it back." Lizette punched Joey so hard in the face he staggered back a few steps. "Sorry," he whined, rubbing his jaw. Lizette marched into the kitchen. She picked up the purse and yanked open the catch. She rummaged amid the usual handbag clutter. It wasn't there. "Joey, where is it?" she yelled. She dumped the purse contents on the table. Joey stood beside her. A blank expression hung on his face. "I swear it was there. I didn't take it." The room seemed unnatural and chill. Lizette shivered. "Joey, preserve me. The killer was still here, in this house when we arrived, and took the bottle after you examined the purse," Lizette said. She stared Joey in the eye. The cold silence burned. "The murderer was still watching us?" Joey wheezed. He sat down, missing the chair, and fell to the floor.
Day 3, nailed scene 8. County Hospital, 9 a.m.
Flashing her badge at the nurse's station, Lizette strode into Earl's room. Earl lay agitated in his white and grey hospital bed.
"Praise be, Lizette. I'm so glad to see you. See, they took away all my guards. I've been without protection for hours,"
Earl said. He was perspiring. "Yes, I agree, you won't need protection anymore," Lizette said. She put her badge back in her purse. She flopped it on the edge of Earl's bed. The black purse looked like a big bug against the white linen.
How come I don't need protection?
Earl questioned. His anxiety level was increasing. Anita's dead, Lizette said.
Anita who? I don't know any Anita,
he responded. Anita Maria Rodriguez del Aguila, the beautiful maid who worked for Glenda Cannon, she said. Earl stared out of the door as if he hoped someone would save him. Earl, Anita is dead, Lizette repeated. Earl began weeping. Lizette hadn't anticipated this reaction to the grim news. She handed him a white tissue. Lizette waited a moment before proceeding. I stopped by the office before I came here. There were 2 reports on my desk, both from the FBI. One about Eli Temple and another about Anita Rodriguez.
So, what do they have to do with me?
Earl asked. Earl, Eli Temple shot you. He confessed. He wanted to kill us both. The tan patrol car was stolen. Temple was an ex-cop gone bad, a scam artist. Anita was an undercover federal agent. She was investigating him on charges of racketeering, extortion, and bribery. He was swindling Glenda and her father. Lizette said,
Why did he want to knock us off?
Earl snuffled. He was afraid we'd pin Glenda's murder on him. Bad record, you know.
Where's he now?
He's at the custody of the FBI. They extradited him yesterday for crimes in a different state. He still can't walk yet, Lizette said. She chuckled.
So how could he dust Anita?
He didn't. But you know that, don't you? Lizette said. There was a hardness in her voice. She was coiling for a strike. Earl flopped his head back on his pillow and blubbered.
I never bumped anybody off.
He pounded the bed with his fists. Lizette waited for his tantrum to end. You gave Glenda my nail polish. Why? Lizette questioned. Earl hung his head.
It was only a little present. She liked stuff like that. I couldn't ask you for it, so I took it. I was afraid you would ask questions and figure things out.
Like the fact you and Glenda were secret lovers, or about her forbidden pregnancy?
I swear I didn't know she was pregnant until the coroner's report,
Earl whimpered. You knew she was being swindled by Temple, but you never said a thing, Earl. You're a man of too many evil secrets, Lizette said. She clenched her teeth. Were you in league with Eli Temple?
Zella, I detest the man. I'm glad you nailed him.
Lizette sat on the bed. Earl tensed up. I'm not going to hurt you, Earl. Calm down. I know you didn't murder Anita. I don't know if you murdered Glenda. But I think you, bad boy, were having worldly delight with both. Am I right? Or am I right? Earl looked at the wall and nodded his head.
I love them, both.
So, answer this question. How did Anita end up with my nail polish? Did you give it to her? Earl looked back.
I don't know how she got it. Maybe she felt it was murder evidence. I don't know. Maybe she stole it. I've got no idea.
Unfortunately, she's dead. Now we'll never know, Lizette said. Earl fiddled nervously with the bedsheet.
How did Anita die?
He asked. Earl, I'm sorry. I can't tell you that. You're a suspect in the murder of Glenda Cannon and her unborn child.
Am I under arrest?
Nope. You heal here for a while in the hospital, Lizette said. Then you'll be arrested.
Lizette, please don't leave me defenseless,
Earl begged. Earl had never called Lizette by her first name before. Earl was scared. Lizette smiled. Goodbye, Earl. She's still out there, isn't she? Earl lay his fingers on his mouth. A muffled hiccup betrayed him. Lizette leaned forward and kissed Earl on the forehead. Earl hiccuped again. She slung her purse strap over her shoulder and click-clacked down the hall. At the entrance, a sexy young creature set foot into the hospital lobby. She was an unquestionable expert at providing something for the needy. She wore a fitted bomber jacket, unzipped to hang daringly off one shoulder. It was a deliberate unveiling of a red bikini top brimming with summer bronze tan. She stopped and peered at Lizette over her black sunglasses. She's pretty, in a cheap sort of way, Lizette thought. The well-proportioned darling wore skin-tight black pants with bright yellow platform shoes. Wow, Lizette thought. How precious? Miss Hawty approached. A large brooch was pinned on the girl's breast pocket. The gaudy jewellery simulated a pink rhinestone cupcake with the letters CC in white stones. Lizette was familiar with her fragrant perfume. It was almost intoxicating. The girl sniffed at Lizette as she passed by. This trollop was Earl's 2 a.m. visitor at his apartment, Lizette thought. Poor Earl. Such grouchy indulgences.
Day 3, Nailed Scene 9. Homicide Division, 2 p.m.
She sat at her desk, spike heels off, feet dangling. Lizette was going over the reports. She was feeling bad about Anita's demise. "Excuse me," a male voice said. "Are you Lizette?" Lizette spun round on her chair. There stood a tall, good-looking man extending his hand. She reached out her hand and they shook. Nice hands, she thought. "Most people call me Zeller," Lizette said. "May I call you Lizette?" he asked. "Well, I suppose. It depends on who you are," she replied. Gosh, he's got a face like a model, Lizette thought. She tried not to appear noticeably excited. "My name is Baz Branken. I'm assigned to be your partner," he said. "I've heard this story before. Let me see some ID and transfer papers," Lizette said. He opened his jacket wide so she saw his 9mm Uzi and shoulder sling underneath. She liked a man who'd show his steel. His blue shirt stretched tight across his torso. Boz had an athletic body shape. He handed Lizette his ID and papers, nipping her daydream. "Nice Israeli machine gun. Illegal, isn't it?" Lizette said. He grinned. "I've got a special anti-terrorist court order." Lizette examined the documents. She checked his age and marital status. Perfect. "Everything's in order," she said. "Pull up a chair, I need your help." He seemed pleasantly surprised. "Already? Great." He drug a chair over and sat near the metal desk. "If you call me Lizette, may I call you Boz?" "Sure. My real name is Bozeman, but you probably saw that on the ID," he said. She missed that. She was too busy checking his eligibility. "Does your name have a story?" Lizette asked. Ouch, that sounded dopey, she thought. "It's pretty simple. I was born in Bozeman, Montana, USA." "Oh," Lizette said. She was at a loss for words. She was tempted to say several things, but they were all cruel. There was an awkward silence. "Well, what kind of help did you need?" Boz asked. "You and I are working on a murder case," Lizette stated. He whistled. "Shh. No kidding. Today's my first day as a detective. This is too good." "This is your first day as a detective," Lizette repeated. Again, she held her tongue from saying several mean things. "Sorry, I guess I should have told you. I'm a greenhorn," Boz said. He stared at his feet and slowly looked up at Lizette. Lizette smiled at him. There was that silence again. "Well, for a greenhorn you have great muscles," Lizette said. Boz sounded a nervous but hearty laugh. "Listen, Boz, let's take a break. We can walk down to a little cafe I know. I'll fill you in about the murder on the way. What do you say?" Boz relaxed his broad shoulders. "You know, Lizette, I could use something to eat. I miss lunch." Lizette was in bliss. The black phone on Lizette's desk rang. She picked it up and listened. She didn't say a word and slowly hung up. "What's up?" Buzz asked. "Why the sad face?" She sat in silence for several minutes. "My former partner, Earl. A drug overdose. They claim it's suicide." "Suicide? But you think somebody popped him?" Buzz questioned. She didn't reply immediately. She scowled. A serial killer is still at large. Whether she killed Earl or not, I do not know. We've got to flush her out. How do you propose to do that? Buzz asked. I'm next on the hit list. I'm the bait. Buzz leaned his chair back and put his hands behind his head. With admiration, he said, You know, Lizette, you've got moxie. She smiled at the quaintness of moxie and wondered if Buzz ever got hiccups. She would miss Earl.
Day 3. Nailed Scene 10. Lizette's apartment, 8 p.m.
First day on the job, Buzz went the second mile. He took Lizette out for a simple drive-through dinner, hamburgers, shakes and fries. She was glad. After hearing about Earl's death, Lizette didn't feel like doing much, least of all cooking. She stood in front of her yellow apartment door and waved goodbye to Buzz. I like him, she thought. Buzz is unassuming, even a bit old-fashioned. Where'd I put those stupid keys? She rummaged through her purse. Odd. They were here this morning. Wait. Earl? Earl lifted them when I kissed him. But why, double-crossing fool? Lizette drew the gun from her purse. She kicked off her black spike high heels. Slipping around the side of the building, she saw the window to her bedroom was aglow. She slid to the window's edge and took a glance in. Standing with her back against the wall, she analysed what she had seen. Nothing was out of place, but the nightstand light was on low. I remember turning that off. I've had a visitor, she thought. Lizette made a hurried call to Buzz's smartphone. Buzz, hi, it's me. Looks like I've had an intruder. Can you come back? She listened. Yeah, I won't go in, promise. Pick me up at the gas station on the corner, okay? Bye. She hung up. What a protective hero, she thought. With her hidden spare key, Lizette and Buzz entered the apartment. Both had weapons drawn. They searched the small apartment. Investigating by the book, they found things safe and sound. You know what creeps me out? Lizette said. That stupid light was off this morning. Do you believe me? You're my partner, Buzz said. So yeah, that light was off when you left. He went to the light and turned it up bright. Lizette smiled. Thank you, Buzz. Suddenly the hot bulb exploded, spraying shattered glass. Lizette's mouth dropped. Tell me that was a coincidence? Buzz said. Are you all right? Lizette asked. Yeah, weird for the light bulb to burst like that. An old trick, Buzz said. Stick a piece of gooey gum on the bulb. When it gets hot, the temperature difference makes it crack and shatter. Lizette went pale. Anita's bedroom floor was crunchy with glass particles. Anita? Oh, yeah. The FBI agent. Buzz remembered. So what are you saying? Lizette was silent from the horror of how Anita died. She never told Earl or anyone how Anita was butchered. Are you okay? Buzz asked. No, not really. Thinking of poor Anita makes me ill. Are you gonna puke? No, I'll be all right. Give me a minute, Lizette said. It's only fear. The guys told me you're not afraid of anything, Buzz said. Well, they're exaggerating again. How about I make something to drink? Buzz said. Go ahead, I'm thinking. Wouldn't want to interrupt that, Buzz said. Now you're being cruel, Lizette said. She smiled. Sorry, I'm not that way. I guess you bring out the worst in me, Buzz said. Well, you're not the first to say that, Lizette said, thinking of Earl. Lizette sat on the bed as Boz puttered in the kitchen. Anita had a light bulb blow up when she switched it on. The glass shards were on the carpet in her bedroom. She then struggled in the dark to get a gun in the bathroom. There was a lot of blood in there. She lost the battle. She was hauled back into her bedroom and wasted. The murderer was still in the house when we arrived. We didn't find out soon enough, Lizette said. And you think the killer's a woman? How come? Boz said. Instinct. Woman's intuition, Lizette said. She stood and stretched. And because of how she hacked the victim's body, a man wouldn't mutilate the same way. A jealous hellcat was the murderer. You think she's here? Boz asked. Lizette shook her head. We've already searched my place completely. Boz shrugged and nodded in agreement. Lizette frowned. Where would she hide in this tiny place? On a hunch, Lizette glided into the bathroom and turned on the light. The light blinked and startled her. She swung the medicine cabinet open. There was, on the second shelf, sat a small bottle with CC written on the side in metallic green nail polish. Lizette took it by the cap and closed the mirror cabinet door. My nail polish, she thought. She changed her eye focus from the small bottle to the mirror. Following Lizette, a shape behind the frosted glass shower door slid noiselessly open. Lizette stared down both barrels of a smooth-bore, sawed-off shotgun. She dove for the floor. The weapon roared, scattering shot in a wide pattern. Dust and debris went flying. Lizette heard Boz scramble in the kitchen. You're under arrest, the unarmed Lizette shouted. She jumped, grabbing the barrels off the cut-off side by side. Lizette twisted the shotgun toward the ceiling. It discharged again, powdering the room with chalky wallboard. Lizette knuckle-punched her attacker twice in the windpipe. The woman staggered back, releasing the gun. Lizette decked her in the head once more for good measure with a gun butt. The alleged perpetrator was down and out for the count. Who is the Spitfire? Boz shouted. He stared in the dusty tub. This Spitfire, has the right to remain silent, Lizette said. Give me a minute to catch my breath. Lizette bent over with one hand on her knee, waiting for her body to stabilize. Her name's Cupcake, Cece, Lizette wheezed, picking up the nail polish bottle. She showed the initials. Gloria must have written this clue before she died. Lizette dropped the scattergun on the cluttered floor. Every murder connected with my old partner Earl, but he didn't do it. Lizette was silent. Boz and Lizette stood vacantly staring at the unconscious young woman sprawled in the dusty tub. Boz raised an eyebrow. Are you all right? He smiled. She gave him a friendly hug. Lizette sipped her cocoa. She dialed 911 and waited. Cece, or Cupcake, was Earl's 2 a.m. assassin girlfriend. Lizette sighed. Earl was way too desperate. While holding the phone to her ear, Lizette surveyed Mr. Montana sipping his hot drink. Boz winked at her. Lizette beamed back. I'm not cruel anymore. I can control my anger. And I'm not afraid. I'll never wear my black stiletto high heels again. No bewitchment, no seductions. A slight curve became visible at her mouth's corner. She eyed Boz. He relaxed, leaning against the wall. The dwindling light from the window played across his face. Her natural, beautiful self sparkled. Gratitude permeated the room. The case was finally solved and over, with a brighter new future beginning. Still holding the 911 call to her ear, she stepped close to Boz and slowly reached to touch his hand. It was a bold move. He gazed at her soft touch and wrapped her hand tenderly in his. You're not so tough, he said. She nodded silently. She shut her eyes, unbolted her fresh heart, and leaned into a warm but not so cruel kiss. The end.
Steve Deere is the creative director and author of Nailed.